Good morning. All right, let's get into it. Got some stuff going on today. Let's look at this CMBM, Cambium Networks. Look at some of these small cap stocks. So huge mover in pre-market here. Let me see what we have here for the news. Let's double check this. All right, networking solutions company announces integration with Cambium One network solution with Starlink satellite internet services. So integration with Starlink. Yeah, it's one of those things where they mentioned Starlink, and that's a big deal, right? That's a massive company. But it's almost like a company saying, hey, we're partnering with Microsoft because we're using Windows. So I don't know if it's that kind of situation. I mean, I'm technically partnered with Microsoft, if that's the case. So it's hard to know if this kind of news is that sort of fluff. So integration with Starlink. Big key word in there. So small company talking about a big company, that's going to always pump a stock up, usually. But as we've seen, it just leads to pump and dumps a lot of times. So 12 million float stock, 63% institutional ownership, a little high on IO. But, this pretty much is what we like to trade. So we'll see how this one shakes out. We did take a loss on it already. We're trying once again. Yeah, they've done an offering in the past. They're not exactly hurting for cash, so they don't have to raise, but who knows? Maybe some of these insiders want to take this opportunity to offload some shares this morning. Yeah, so $70 million market cap. Tiny company. So yeah, we'll see how this one shakes out. This is probably going to be one of the main stocks of the day. Number 2 is PBBT. Got another biotech. This one's an ADR. Achieves manufacturing milestone. So what does this mean? Were they able to manufacture something for the first time? They don't really elaborate. What is a manufacturing milestone? So one of those things. It's probably just fluff news. So they're advancing toward its first in-human clinical trials. Drug submission plan for 2026. So they're extremely early stages. Maybe they're manufacturing some of this stuff for the first clinical trials, seems like. So they haven't even done human trials yet. This will be the first one, and it's still out in 2026, so pretty far out still from that happening. $8 million float. Pretty low IO on this one. And of course, not a ton of cash left. I think I have 14 months left to cash. Offering in August, priced. So looks like they have an offering queued up. Warrants at $1 a share. Got 12 million of those. That's the obvious stuff. So we'll see what it does. It's still trying to fight here at the highs. Not sure if this is going to be able to continue or not. So far, it's holding up pretty well. Threatening to pop right here. Those are probably the top two. FGL's too cheap. ERNA, probably okay. We'll keep that one on watch. PFSA, too cheap. Too cheap. Okay. So VC from yesterday ended up playing out perfectly. Amazing move on this one. Don't see a lot of these. But wow, what a move there in pre-market. Huge rip and then fade back down to $1. Pretty incredible move. This was the main opportunity from yesterday. And we did have, what was it? I forget what the other one was. It was another one that was pretty decent. But yeah, this is the one that the short sellers were blowing up on yesterday. VC. So this is the one the short sellers were blowing up on yesterday in pre-market. Pretty insane rip. And this happens fast too. So we had this thing move from 60 cents all the way up to $4. So about a 500% move just in pre-market. Pretty incredible move. And you can imagine top tickers coming in trying to short sell this and getting blown out on this move right here. And then the thing ends up fading back really nice after that. So a lot of shorts struggling with this one. Now, the way I would do it is simply wait for a moving average to confirm. Look at the 50 moving average right here. Comes back under the 50, that's the top. And I don't do top ticking, so I'm never going to be shorting at $4. So I'm pretty happy if I'm in on the backside. I don't care if I'm a little bit late to the party. I only want to be late. And if you're early, don't come because you're going to get blown out. So here are some of these trades, because this is exactly the pitfall to shorting on the front side. Let me pull this up really quick. We have a lot of traders trying to hit this. We've got, here we go, top ticker hitting it right there and then stopping out into this move higher. Re-hitting up here, and he does okay on the pullback. Re-attacking the bounce and then covering this fade. Now the fade came back to $1, so he could have made another 50 cents a share on that. He did okay though. There's always a risk of it coming back up. So that's why a lot of these guys are going to be taking these dips when they're there. I see a case for both sides of just waiting. As we know, it came back to $1, so seems like he didn't hang on as long as he could have. But not too bad overall in that one. Sucks to take that initial loss though. This guy took the same kind of loss, didn't re-hit it. So again, trying to top tick right here. I don't know what his signal is to get in. Maybe it just looks good and then you hit it and then stop out into the squeeze. Really rough. This could have been a much worse loss too if he didn't stop out. But this is kind of some top ticking. Maybe there's a trend line right here. I don't know. Look at that closer in a second. Another one right here. Trying to hit these top ticks and cover dips. So that's what he's trying to do, and it's not easy. It's almost like you're picking up pennies in front of a bulldozer or a steamroller, and then he tries again over here. This one gets blown out pretty bad. So pretty interesting move. This is the pitfall of trying to top tick. So there you go. He lost 20K on that one. Anybody else? I think that's about it. So that's the idea. So, and the easy fix for this is simply wait for some kind of moving average. Wait for a moving average cross. Just be patient. And I don't do top ticking, so it's just not how I would trade it. I will always wait for some sort of moving average to cross over. So I like the 50 a lot right here. Even got the breakdown, pull back to the 50 right there. So that is pretty clean. Might still have to use sort of a wide-ish stop though, because this can bounce more than you think and still work no problem. And what a beautiful fade on that. All the way back to $1. It's a pretty incredible move on that one. Let me pull up the other one from yesterday because this is just another really nice example. FRGT. So pretty clean fade. It threatened to squeeze here out of the gate, but dropped off pretty hard into the after hours right before the close. So if you got patience and you can wait all day like that, that's maybe a good place to try to get out. Possible 30% move into the after hours. Pretty light volume over there though, so tougher to hit that with size and weight for that kind of a dump, but that's where maybe small accounts will have an advantage because you would be able to get out no problem over there and still make 30%. So if you have a small account, it doesn't matter if you're making 30% on a super liquid stock or maybe a less liquid stock that's still pushing decent volume. You got 10 million bucks trading right here over 10 minutes. That's pretty good. You got a decent volume right here also, another 10 million bucks right there trading. So the liquidity is not terrible on this. The liquidity on the exit is a lot lower, but let's say you're trading a $5,000 or $10,000 position on a small account. That is a super clean gain, super nice, and it's not going to be competing with all the top dogs that are going after the hyper liquid trades and maybe overcrowding a lot of those other stocks. So again, this one's only up. It's up 100% right here in the pre-market. Comes down, and then after it crosses that 50 right here, could pretty much get in anywhere on the backside, and then just be patient and wait. Never even came over VWAP, so a lot of people do like to risk VWAP. A very common thing to do. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here with some of these trades. We've got the super crazy ones like VC, and then the FRGT, which is less attractive to most of the traders. So they tend to just come down easier too and be less crowded, lower fees, just easier fades on some of these weaker gappers. But still a decent gapper overall. And then the liquidity is what kind of chases a lot of people away from these. But again, with a smaller account, it doesn't really matter if you make 30% on something that trades $200 million on the day, or if you make 30% that trades $1 billion on the day. Makes zero difference. So that's why something like BYND, where we had that really crazy move, trading $1 billion on the day back here. So yeah, it traded 2 billion shares on the day. Pretty incredible move. If you have a massive account, you're able to take as big of a position as you want. You can take multi-million-dollar positions on a BYND type move, whereas on an FRGT, you can take a much smaller position but still make 20 or 30%. BYND, 50% potential on that trade. But again, do 50% on as much size as you want, or you can do 50% on small account. It makes no difference, really. The point is, those opportunities that exist can be taken advantage of. You can get a lot more of them on the small accounts than on the big accounts. The big accounts have to wait for these kind of absurd moves to happen that are trading billions of dollars, and a lot of these guys that have big accounts, they want to take multi-million-dollar positions because they want to make a few $1,000,000 on the trade. So you just cannot do that on some of these less liquid stocks. So they're not even going to try to trade an FRGT. It is just totally off radar, irrelevant for them because they can't get the size in that they want. So their time is kind of better spent just waiting for better opportunities or more liquid opportunities. It's not even that it's better, it's just more liquid. And then the smaller accounts need to capitalize on these lower liquidity trades too to build up that account. And really the end game is when you have a multi-million-dollar account like that, taking multi-million-dollar positions, your goal is to wait for those better opportunities that are more liquid. So we'll see what happens here. with CMMB. And again, it's kind of a matter of if you top ticket, you get squeezed. If you wait for the backside, maybe the 50, then your odds are better of being on the backside. It's never always confirmed. You never know for sure. But for me, I do better if I don't try to top tick. Because again, on this one, I would have thought, what would stop me from thinking this is the top or this is the top? And then it just keeps going up and up and up. So at least waiting for that 50 or some kind of moving average, maybe a crossover, depends on what you want to do with it. So we don't want to top tick. We want to take the backside using any indicator. It doesn't really matter what you use. You could use MACD. You could use a 5-minute time frame. Anything other than top ticking is what I'm going to try to do. Some people do well with it, but it does open the door for some of those really, really crazy squeezes like VC that will get totally out of control and start running pretty massively in just a few seconds. And it's tough to manage risk when that happens. So we'll see how we do with PPBT and CMBM today. We got some borrows, so that's good. PPBT looks like maybe potentially it is topping out. A little bit of a triple top right here. We'll see how we do out of the open. And we had PayPal earnings the other day, so looking interesting. I'm still waiting on some of these stocks to hold dips. I do have a PayPal position from, I think I'm in at, I forget, somewhere around 71-ish. So, of course, I don't sell into this because I'm trying to be in this trade for a longer time frame. On the daily, it just looks prime for a move. It just looks like it's set up. So we got past the earnings. Hopefully this will hold a dip somewhere over here and then start pushing back into the hundreds. And then we'll be in good shape to maybe sell that. Maybe make 50% on that one. See how we do with it. A lot of hopes for Lulu as well. 70% drop off the top here. Breaking a trend. Held a dip pretty good yesterday, so I like to see this 20 moving average reclaim. I want to see that hold though. And maybe we get something like this back over here in April, May, where it held that 20 moving average and gave a really nice rally. All right, ERNA, what are we doing on this? We're going to try ERNA. 1 minute to the bell. Let's see if we can have a good day. We did take one loss this morning, so we want to recover that, hopefully. If not, no big deal. We expect losses sometimes. Another biotech company, collaboration with whatever therapeutics, ERNA. So we have CelliPoint collaborating with ERNA. Clinical trials. A lot of these biotechs they're entering trials or preparing for trials or they're about to do trials or they're about to get into human trials. So they're very far off from actually making a drug. All right, here's the bell. Good luck, everyone. Let's focus up. Going to be interesting on ERNA to see how this opens up. Choppy open. Let's see here. Well, it's looking nice. PBBT. Looks like it's trying to crack. Hopefully that's the end of the road for that one. Yeah, if that comes back up, I have to stop out, I think. I need to cash in some lucky chips here. We'll see if I want to save them though. $1.20 is pretty heavy here for some reason. There are warrants at $1, so possibly they're selling into this, kind of stuffing it at $1.20. I'll see if it keeps going or not. It certainly could. Back to $1.20. Yeah, it's gonna probably every time it gets up there, it gets stuffed. Seems like it's about to blast through, but it just can't break through $1.20 yet. There weren't really that many warrants, unless there's some shady stuff going on. Testing again. Stuffed again. Testing again. Keeps trying and trying and trying. Could also be some maybe insider selling potentially. See what happens. It's really struggling at $1.20, so if it breaks that, it's probably going to fly, but so far it's struggling. Gonna try again. Stuffed again. Keeps trying though. $15's testing, 16. Back to 15. 16 again. Head and shoulders, you think? Possible head and shoulders, yep. I'm really hoping $1.20 holds. It can only try so many times before people give up on it. Okay, back to 109. 110, 112. Okay, holding. 115 test, 116. Stuffed at 116 again. It's almost like there's infinite selling. It was at $1.20. Okay, now we're back into the low ones. It's almost like the selling pressure was at $1.20. There was a wall, and then the wall moved down to 18, 17, 16, 15. And now possible crack coming. We'll see. Could still break $1.20 though. Never really know. Okay, testing the breakout again. 14 tested. Still kind of struggling, but it is holding fine now. 15, back to 14. 13. It's holding pretty well now. Testing 16. Might break through this time. Okay, 17 now. Looks like it's going to do it. 16, 15, 16. Back to 18. Looks like it's actually going to go. I think 20's got to hold for me to stay in this. Yeah. That'll be a cut. Uh-oh. Yeah, we cut it. So it's GG. Now we see if it pop and drop, if it's going to just be a clear out and then a dump here or not. Kind of holding. Yeah, it looks like a hold. So 2 losers today so far. It's done, you say. See, the old me would have retried and then immediately stopped out again. That looks like it could rip. It's pretty impressive hold there. All right, looks like that one's wants to run now, so we're gonna be done with it. We got CMBM halted down. This is our other trade. We did take a loss on it in pre-market already, but this is sort of try number 2, and it's working okay so far. We want this to come on down. It is looking like a red day though. PPBT. So this will be interesting to see how it plays out. I kind of think it rips. I think this pushes $1.50 now. Kind of trappy open here. It is so close to that pre-market high level. It just seems like it's going to blast through that. I would buy it, but every time I buy these, I get dumped on. So yeah, CMBM looking good now. I mean, potential all-day fade coming. No news. It looks like offering news, but I don't see any news. Let me check the filings. Sometimes they drop some filings that doesn't show up on the news. Let's see. Nothing new. Yeah, PPBT. Breaking pre-market high now. Okay, PPBT trying to crack, looks like. Halted down now. Pretty erratic. Right, CMBM. It could potentially reclaim. I think it's fairly unlikely. So we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get. PPBT halted down. I mean, this potentially is done. We'll see out of the halt what happens, but probably done with it. 30 seconds left on the halt. Possibly two. I just shouldn't move my risk so soon. A lot of silly things can happen. Okay, here's the end halt. We'll see if it reclaims or if it's done. No trade on here. Just curious. This would trap a bunch of shorts right here if it reclaims. Because typically you get that death candle on the 1 minute into a down halt. It doesn't look good. Looks like the end of the line. But somehow if it manages to hold, push back towards $1.40, then this is going to rip. Oh, there goes. A little bit of a drop. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it just to see what happens. Looks like it took out the pre-market high. Now maybe it can roll over. If I was going to retry this, this is where I would try it. ERNA holding up. PPBT still hanging out. No position on it, but I thought it would have rolled over by now, and it's still holding. All right, CMBM looks like it's working well. We gotta let that one play out, see where we end up on it. This is the main trade open right now. It is looking good. So we'll let that one play out, see where we end up on it. I think I'm going to call it there and just let this thing play out. I'll put some updates in the Discord later, but that'll be it for today. Good luck, everybody, and we'll be back at it tomorrow.